All right, guys, testing. Ballet at Brand here. And there we go. We're live. We are streaming live. So, how's it going? Hope everyone's doing well. This is going to be my first live stream and want to see how everyone's doing. If I get anyone interacting within the chat, that'll be cool too. But let me just go quick and just confirm that I'm live on my YouTube. Perfect. Okay, guys, so what do I want to talk about in this video? In this video, as you can see from the title, where do the protests and the riots, where does that lead to? And the short answer, in my opinion, is a civil war. Now, throughout many recent years, I've noticed, it seems, more tense rhetoric and more partisan politics on the news. You know, when we turn on Fox or CNN or ABC or MSNBC or CBS, I guess whatever you watch, it seems that politics have become super divisive, and so has mainstream television, which is something that a lot of Americans and a lot of what the world consumes for their news and for their content. And I just want to say that kind of rhetoric and what we see going on with these riots and protests, it's not going to stop, and we're going to see the rhetoric get worse and worse. And long story short, it's leading to a civil war. We are pretty much in the next civil war, it seems. Let me just confirm that I'm okay. Cool. So yeah, we are in the next civil war, and the reason I say that is because we have the riots and protests going on, say in Seattle, where I live, and I'm all for protesting and making a point regarding the George Floyd black guy that was killed, that was murdered in broad daylight and in public. But where it can get pretty bad is what's going on right now with the rioting, because lots of people's businesses are getting broken into, and it's one thing to prove a point peacefully, and then it's another thing to break into a family business or just any store and loot all of it, because now the next business day, that company, they're most likely not going to be operating, because now they're repairing broken windows and things like that. And I saw that in Seattle with the day after the protest. So I think it was actually Saturday morning, when I went to the CVS and to get a gallon of milk, and it was closed because the windows were shattered. And actually, same thing with Target. That same day, I went to Target, and there were a whole bunch of windows being boarded up because they had been previously broken into. And some of the solutions that could be, I don't know, I guess done right now, I don't want to go straight to solutions, but I guess one thing that a lot of people are being pretty vocal about and pretty mad about, and I agree completely too, is that our president of America, or of the United States, Donald Trump, is not really doing much in terms of mitigating the damage, and he's not really doing much as far as benefiting to conversation goes. I mean, if you look at some of the tweets that he's talking about some of those protesters and whatnot, I think it's sparking a lot of anger in the communities that are protesting right now, because they feel that Trump has direct involvement with the officer killing the black guy, and whether he may or may not have had some influence. What the point I made that up to say was that right now we've got not complete military on the streets. We've got maybe National Guard, which is pretty much very similar. But anyways, there doesn't seem to be much like action on Trump's side, and I see one argument that people are mad that he's not really doing anything to stop it. And so where this leads to, like I've said a million times, is the Civil War. And what's happening is right now we're being divided by race and by what you identify with, and that is causing the white people to be divided against the black people, and the black people to be divided against the white man, and just every ethnicity kind of having like a ethnic war type deal of like my side versus your side. And in reality, I think a lot of the people that are fighting that fight, I wish we could direct that energy towards attacking the right people, and not just each other, because a lot of what we see going on is like class struggles. Like a lot of the people should be, the people that they're mad at are not necessarily like the people or groups of people they should be mad at. Like, when I walk on the street of my neighborhood or Seattle, I look at that person that I'm making eye contact with. I look at them as a brother or sister, kind of just like your average Joe on the street, like I would one of my brothers, or if I had a sister. And there seems to be a lot of needless attack and lots of violence against just random people. There was couple business owners that were trying to protect their family business. It looked like a restaurant from the video that I saw on Twitter, but they were trying to protect their business from being looted, and in the process of doing so, they got beaten very, very badly by the protesters. And what's going to happen is a lot of the people that have been randomly beaten and that have been targeted, not saying all people, but some of the people that have, it's almost like that kid that like shoots up a school, and they're always getting bullied on in school. They hear so much criticism and negativity that they're not accepted and whatnot, and then they end up committing a lot of violence against random people. That seems to be what's happening. Like the restaurant owner, like I said, they got beaten because they were trying to protect their own restaurant. And there's another guy that had like a sword, and from the story that I heard, he was trying to protect his business or his family's business as well. And a crowd of protesters and rioters ended up beating him pretty badly, as maybe a lot of us have seen on Twitter. So what's going to happen next, guys, unfortunately, and I saw it in Seattle, but guns are going to start being withdrawn. And when I say drawn, I mean people are going to start fighting with guns and not just bricks and rocks. And when that happens, it's going to just escalate worse and worse. I was just reminded as I said that yeah, there's been guns brought up a couple times in the protests all around the United States, and that's where things get really they either go one way or the other. Either the way that I see it right now is it seems like there's either like two different options that seems to be what the future could be like for the short term. So either either Trump has like the military come in and pretty much have like a martial law on the streets, which we're kind of seeing like a martial law with the National Guard, and either he has him come in and do that, and they kind of make us live in a martial law. Either that happens and the protesters get dwindled down. Their energy goes down because they're being prosecuted and they're being stopped. Or, and this is what has been happening, which is why a lot of people are mad at Trump, is or it can continue going on, and the police are standing idle, idle while the car is being burned, or while like windows are being smashed out. And I mean, I understand many arguments could be made for that, but so it leads to a civil war, guys. And the other thing that I want to bring up is if the protests and the riots in the cities, like I've seen in Seattle, or Bellevue, or Auburn, Tequila, or some of these cities, is I don't know if it goes from the city to the suburbs, the main neighborhoods and whatnot. That's where things are going to escalate really quickly in a bad way, because you're going to have people trying to loot another person's house, and someone that may be carrying a gun and owning a gun, and them defending themselves. So either way, I feel like kind of what's gone on so far is not very good. I'm like I said, I'm all in for support of peaceful protests and whatnot, and I understand the people that want anarchy on the streets, and just anarchy in general, and I understand that one completely. And I have a lot of friends that are anarchists, and even in some ways, I when we huh sorry about that, guys. The stream cut out for a second. It said I was offline. So what was I going to say? God damn it, I totally just blanked on what was I going to say. So the long story short, guys, is in my opinion, I think a civil war is kind of brewing upon us. Like I said, either the military come in and have like a full martial law and like put the protesters away, or like the anarchists and like I guess anarcho-communists and whatnot too, and fascists, I guess you could say, are causing mayhem in the streets. So like I said, I agree with some of those ideas and whatnot, but I have a feeling that maybe not all of them, but some of the people with radical ideas right now are just causing mayhem on the streets, and that can only last for so long before it takes a very very negative turn. And that negative turn, like I said, could be the people right now that are outside. It could be them, starting to flood the suburbs and the houses in the main neighborhoods, or it could be a different option, which I feel like it's like the lesser of two evils. Like either one is still going to be a lot of force, and I shouldn't say tyranny, but a lot of force and like statism, or the other one is like, okay, we're just going to burn all of the buildings down in America and restart. Like, I don't understand what their ideas are. The people that are looting in all of these major cities. Like, I don't understand where they think we're heading in the future. Economy has already dropped off a cliff, and it's heading down the tank. I mean, the economy's already been going down for significant amount of time. And especially in Trump's administration, they're just barely holding on to thin threads, trying to prop it up with the quantitative easing and the money printing. And so we have the mayhem in the streets, and we have the chaos in the streets, but then we have an economy that's going down the tank as well, and that just creates a bad combination, which just allows for those buildings to the Target or the small mom and pop shop that got looted and got their store damaged. Like, they might not ever come back to business again. Or say like the Target, some of those bigger stores will rebuild and will stay open for business, but they might not stay open for business until the riots and the protests are done, and who knows how long that's going to be. So maybe subsequently, the rioting, say, shuts down the Target in Seattle next to Pike Place. Like, say, just theoretically shuts it down completely. Well, then you have long-term effects that can happen there, where now people can't go to the normal business that they get their groceries from, and they also are not supporting a local part of the economy. So it's a double-edged sword, guys. But like I said, I hope everyone that's out there, kind of see what's going on, notice that this is going to escalate in one way or another. But either way, it's going to escalate. And be safe. I mean, protect yourself. If you're an American and you're not a felon, you should definitely get a gun. Definitely get a gun. I mean, you can't see it, but on one of the sides of my room, I've got a safe bolted down, and I'm a gun owner myself, and a firm believer in the Second Amendment too. So, if you haven't already, and you want to protect yourself and your family, wouldn't be a bad idea to have some sort of defense weapon, especially when you have, mobsters mobbing the way that they do. There's a reason they call it like a mob, like it's a whole mass amount of people. The damage that we see of these mob attacks on people, a lot of it's like white people, that a lot of the damage that we see, I mean, it's people attack in bigger groups, because it's like if you're speeding, if everyone's speeding, a cop is usually only going to pull one person over at a time. So if they're going to pull someone over, if you're just going with the speed of the flow of traffic, then you're probably not going to get caught. Same thing with like the mob beatings, or people that do jumpings, they jumped someone. Same thing with that, where, now people that normally wouldn't punch someone on their own or get in a fight on their own, now they are beating the shit out of someone or kicking someone in the neck, in the face, anywhere in the body. And that's the kind of stuff that we're seeing, guys. And I promise you that, the people that see this, and the people that have been, direct like victims of these attacks, they're going to arm up heavily. And, a lot of those people are going to defend themselves if they're put in a threatening situation. And that's, like I said, the escalation of like a civil war and war in America. And Trump's tweets are definitely not helping. I mean, they're kind of stoking the fire with the partisan separation of the people. My side versus your side, or Antifa versus Trumpers, and a million different categories that you can complete that. So that's what I think. This is my first live video. I was gonna say live protest. No, this is my first live video on YouTube Live. So I hope everyone's doing well. Valiant Brand here, and I definitely plan on making more videos in the future. As someone that's been making videos for over 10 years, I've always liked the live streams that I participate in, like on people that I follow. I've always liked the live streams, because it's a interactive experience. So I hope that maybe one day people might enjoy my live streams, and maybe get a little bit of value or some entertainment out of it. And it would be really cool to contribute as well, and have some people comment on what they think of what I'm talking about, or if they have a disagreement, please throw that out there in the air, because I'm always willing to consider new ideas and opinions and options, and reevaluate my own. So hope everyone's doing well. I'm going to get out of here. My first live stream, about a 20-minute stream, so I think I'm going to cut it off there. And yeah, I hope the audio is okay. I just noticed that on the bottom of the screen there's a bar, and it's on like volume 2, so maybe I should put a headset on next time. But hope everyone's doing well. Love you guys. Peace.